So AMC stock had a bit of a kind of day today. Now, here in this video, I want to go over what I think is coming next. These are just my opinions. This is just my speculation. I could be right, I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be really wrong, I could be really right. Who knows? Now, one thing in particular that I do want to point out is stock twits, actually. The messaging volumes that we're seeing are considered high. And there's a lot of messages coming in or post about AMC, but the sentiment is very, very negative. And I think there's something you really need to know there if you are a bull in AMC stock. And I think that will highlight exactly what I'm going to talk about here in this video. And there's really multiple other things that is going on under the surface, behind the scenes, if you will, that can also lead to what I think some upside for AMC stock heading into 2024. So hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so already. Consider sharing this video with a friend, a buddy, a pal, or anyone else that you think needs to hear this. So first things first, there's multiple things happening on the macro side, the broader micro side of this market. One of them being, this is a period of time where we've gotten the fastest rate hiking cycle in the past 40, 50 years, and that is becoming a tailwind. Now, a headwind is the Fed raising rates, and who knows when they're going to stop, and where's the economy going, things of that nature. That's the narrative we've had over the past 2 years. Literally 2 years ago, in December of 2021, is when the Fed first started to spook the markets with all of the rate hiking conversation. Now, starting in 2024, really now, the Fed lowering rates is a tailwind for markets. So that should in and of itself help the markets to go higher. I think that's important because, money trades off of this. Money is invested based on the Fed, right? Don't fight the Fed is probably one of the most popular common sayings in markets. Markets have been fighting the Fed for the past 2 years. Now, well, the Fed should help out the markets. And what I mean by this is it's actually pretty simple. So right now you have one of the highest moments of time for capital out there in the system. 2021 was a little bit higher. Obviously, 2022 was a little bit higher. But you're still at almost record levels of cash out there in the system today. If you're looking at cash and cash equivalents, like home prices, just adding up all the money out there, you're at a record high. But right now, you're at basically a record low of stock allocation. What that means is, funds are really not allocating money to stocks. They haven't been for a while now, especially in 2023. There's been a real shift away from stocks into bonds. Now, when that money starts to come back into markets, that's going to be exciting. Now, 10-year treasury yields right now at about 3.9%. That's still okay if you consider, inflation to be 2% over the long run. Then you're making a real rate of return around 1.9%. Not terrible for a risk-free return. Definitely, might appeal to other people. Obviously, you guys are probably not the ones that are out there buying 10-year treasury yields. Hopefully, I don't want to say hopefully not, but hopefully you have greater aspirations than that. Getting 2% on your money, essentially. Now, that's where markets become a lot more attractive. The lower treasuries go, markets become more attractive. Now, when you have trillions of dollars, not billions, but trillions of dollars on the sidelines here, that maybe used to be allocated to stocks, that is no longer, and rates are now coming down, that's a pretty attractive time to start putting some money into stocks, but it's gonna take some time. So like I said many times, there's two different ways AMC can go through a Moass-like event. One of them is more typical that you would expect. That would be liquidity coming back into our markets. That would be some kind of good news for AMC stock. The second is just liquidity coming back into our markets. I think liquidity alone coming back into our markets could cause AMC stock to double, triple, 4x, somewhere in that neighborhood, to see AMC stock go back to $24 per share if the dilution were to stop with really no significant squeeze kind of catalyst. I don't think that's unrealistic. And that would be a 400% return from here. So that would be pretty good if you're buying AMC stock right now. Now, if we get some good news, maybe it's a commitment to not dilute shareholders, who knows what it could be. That's where things could get very squeezy for AMC stock in 2024. Now, the beginning of 2024, is going to look a little bit different than mid or end 2024. You got to remember, the one thing the markets care about the most is a recession. That's the reason why stocks really sold off in 2022, was the fears of a recession that would come end of 2022 at some point in 2023. That is not materialized. And actually what we continue to see is the economy is doing good. And I actually think you could see a reacceleration of the economy in 2024, right? As people might be saving more on items that they frequently buy, like gas savings and other just day-to-day items that maybe are seeing some disinflation or deflation, like the Walmart CEO has talked about a couple different times now. You might actually see a reacceleration of the economy. You could make an argument the economy has been in a recession for 2 years. Maybe we're actually coming out of it. Maybe the government's just phony numbers have concealed the fact that we've actually been in a recession. I think that's a valid argument as well for 2024. I think when people write about this period in time, they're going to say this was a very recessionary-like period of time for a lot of people. If you look at auto delinquency rates, they're at higher levels than they were during the 08-09 great financial crisis. But unemployment then was 10%. Today it's 3 and some change. And we're not in a recession, but people are missing their payments on their auto loans more than they were in 08-09. Defaulting on your car is just not an option for most people, right? Most people have kids to transport to school and got to get groceries, got to, do all these different things, doctors, dentist appointments. It's not something you let go of is your car. You let go of Netflix. You let go of other things first, but not your vehicle. So I think that is important to point out as a little bit of context there. So actually a reacceleration of the economy could make some sense in 2024. Now that would be great news for stocks, as long as that did not come with additional inflation. Here is what I want to point out for you guys. So, stock twits. The sentiment is very bearish, extremely bearish right now. Lots of people are marking their post as bearish. Now, you also see a low participation rate, relatively speaking, but look at message volume. That's high at 61. So, the point I'm trying to make here is that people are bearish on AMC, but the volume is high. So that means people are interested in AMC. They're just displeased with the performance. They're displeased with what AMC has been doing. This dilution continues to be brought up in these stock twits post very often. But the most important thing is not whether people are bullish or bearish. The most important thing is the message volume, because that's showing activity, right? Sentiment flips, sentiment changes. But the message volume, the activity around AMC, that's important. Because if you don't have that, you don't have anything as far as FOMO or potential squeeze. You need to see that message volume, that activity around AMC stock, whether it's bullish or bearish. And I think this is something that is, under the surface that I don't think a lot of people are going to understand or appreciate until it turns, bullish, right? Until the sentiment starts to turn bullish and the stock starts to go higher. But without this, you really don't have anything. So I found this pretty interesting today. And if you look at the feed, there is a lot of people that are bearish or pessimistic. Some people say that they're buying or whatever, but a lot of people are just really irritated with the dilution. And I think Adam Aaron sees things like this. I think they understand some of these things, but I think you need some reassurance from Adam Aaron that we're not going to see continued dilution. Even 4 minutes ago, this guy says AMC is not going out of business, or is this a fake blog post and AMC is going out of business? Like we just don't even know at this point. The Street wrote this post that says AMC stock 325 million raised, goodbye bankruptcy, and or bankruptcy fears. This was actually on September 15th. AMC has just raised more capital. So bankruptcy, none of that seems illogical at this moment in time. But does that mean AMC stock is going to go higher? Not necessarily. Now, in my opinion, it's obviously hard to forecast if we will see any form of good news that sends AMC higher in and of itself. I imagine there probably will be. It's clear at this point, AMC cannot dilute shareholders again until AMC is in the teens, right? If they did, then AMC stock would probably drop to $3 per share or less. And then you're just fighting in an uphill battle at that point you do not want to fight. So Adam Aaron, AMC, they realize they can't use the stock as a piggy bank, at least right now. So I think that does give the stock some degree of upside potential here in the near term. Now, as liquidity does come back into our markets, if we can get some form of good news, really, I want to see a commitment from Adam Aaron that he's not going to dilute shareholders, maybe say the first half of 2024. That could send AMC stock up quite a bit. But as long as we just don't get any dilution, liquidity comes back into our markets, business as usual, I could see AMC going back into the 20s, 30s, or 40s potentially. Now, if we get some good news in that point, then you could see AMC go to 50 to 100. If you get a short squeeze, if the stock is truly hundreds of percent sold short, and we get a reason for people to buy back their short positions, if we get a reason for a little bit of FOMO into AMC, then I think AMC could go into the multi-hundreds. You guys got to remember this as well. Dilution stings in the near term, but markets do get over that with time, right? And we just had dilution, so you're going to say, yeah, that's not true. Look at this stock ever since, dilution was done. And sure, the stock has traded sideways. It's traded down from $11.50. Give it 3 months from now, nobody's going to care about the dilution that happened 3 months ago, as long as we're not getting new dilution. So I do think AMC stock can rally from here. The stock was up about 0.5% today. If you look at the RSI at 40.19, that is also pretty encouraging, relatively speaking. You just hit a new low, a new multi-year low on December 13th. The RSI you would expect to be down in the gutter as well, but the stock is showing some relative strength, and I think that's because the stock keeps kind of bouncing back and forth with some volatility, right? In this 50 cent or so range, 70 cent or so range, AMC stock keeps going above $7 per share. Unfortunately, it seems like we're having a hard time staying there, but better sign than not, I would say, to that one. Now, the MACD is also a little bit positive. The yellow line is above the blue line, but nothing too crazy there. Now, as far as the timeline on this, I think from now over the next 3 to 6 months, you get liquidity coming back into our markets. If we don't get any dilution, if we don't have any really bad news, then AMC stock can easily make its way into the high teens, the 20s, the $30 range. If we get some good news, a commitment for no dilution from Adam Aaron, that's where AMC stock could really run to 50 or more. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekends, and I will see you in the next one.